9. Well, hello, fellow humans. And
Oh,
John. Howdy. Howdy, howdy.
hello, Dave.
So we figured we hadn't done one of these in a while, so we'd go through some of your comments, just generally chat, have some fun together. I do want to give a general life update. It has been not the best time since we came to Oregon, unfortunately. My wife and I were joking about it. Like, you gotta have the bad contract eventually, you know? Oh, squirrel in the backyard. So we found the bad one. Here it is. As of this morning, the hospital officially just told my wife that her contract is being canceled. And so, good luck.
See, I don't understand that. How do you have a contract, which is they sign an agreement, you sign an agreement,
All these things happen.
how they move you all the way across the entire United States of America?
I mean, they move is generous. That makes it sound like they paid it for it, but go on.
Okay, well, they know you're moving
Yeah.
from the East Coast to the basically upper Midwest, right? And how do they have the conscience to cancel the contract?
Oh, that's easy. It's a corporation with a bunch of people staring at spreadsheets that happen to have human being names on them. Like, to them, you're not people, John. You're not people like
You
them.
mean just like Bob Seger said, you feel like a number?
Oh, that's exactly what it is. It's 100% that. Well, it turns out this hospital, Candy was not the only one canceled this morning. They hired way too many traveler nurses, which is wild. She's never even had a shift canceled because the whole point of a traveling nurse is that you're critically understaffed. You need people, so you hire someone who comes for a short period of time to fill the gap, right? And so she's never even had a shift canceled before. And we're at half of her shifts almost have been canceled. And then they started to do the shady thing where they try to put you on call because then you technically are working. So they're not violating the contract, but it's like $2 an hour to be on call. So it's just a way to basically steal from you, but still have you there and not pay you to be there. So that is what they've been trying to do. So in a weird way, it's almost like relieving that it's just finally we have an answer. Like, fine, now we can just plan for it. So it is 2-week notice at least. So she works the next 2 weeks and we will be heading away. It's just literally just like in a way. Like, once again, we know that in 2 weeks we're leaving. We don't know where to. We just know that in 2 weeks we are getting in the car and driving somewhere.
Wow.
So John and I will do our best to have enough recorded videos that we won't take a break from our 3-day-a-week release schedule, but that is where we're at so far. Fun update on some stuff from Oregon, though. It's not all bad by any means. My wife and I make it a point to have fun, try to explore the local area and try local things. And one of the local things that I have fallen in love with, they're called Marion Berries. And you can get Marion Berry jam, Marion Berry pie, Marion Berry tea. Like, they put it in everything here in Salem, Oregon. And I had Marion Berry jelly on my toast this morning at a diner, and then came home with a piece of Marion Berry cheesecake pie in the fridge.
How do you spell Marion Barry?
I want to say it's like Merion. So it's a hybrid of a couple different types of blackberries, made by some university around here. And,
Okay.
And it has
I just Googled it. It looks amazing. It looks kind of like a cross between a grape and a blackberry.
And it has just the perfect mixture of like the sour sweet combination as far as berries go. It's just a good berry. And it is now my number 2 favorite berry is a Marion berry. Number 1, blueberry. Number 2, so I did enjoy living in New Hampshire, right south of Maine. It was pretty solid blueberry territory last year. But I gotta say, Marion berries, super fantastic part of living up here has been Marion berries. It's interesting to take hikes around here. There's just hanging vines. It's just always raining. It's raining now. It looks bright, but it's actually drizzling right now. It's a fascinating place, and it's wildly different than anywhere we've lived before. So it has not been all bad by any means. There's been a number of large missteps from the recruiter, the company she worked for, the hospital she worked for, the house we showed up to originally, not this one. This was our second house. It's been a lot of stuff going on that's been very frustrating. But in a way, so it's kind of nice to just have an end date, like have a fine. You stop yanking us around. So we have an end date.
Right, so where Oregon itself may have left a bad taste in your mouth, there's always the Marion Barry that leaves a good taste in your mouth.
This is precisely it. Yeah, if you've never tried a Marion Barry, highly recommend. One of the weirder things we've randomly found, but yeah, the Marion Barry, solid work.
Do you know about it? Because now that I've Googled it, I know stuff about that Marion Barry.
Oh, go on. I've not fully looked it up. Everything I know from one waitress who I asked what a Marion Barry was.
And what'd she say?
What I told you. It's some sort of a blackberry hybrid.
Well, it is. It was developed by the USDA ARS breeding program, cooperation with Oregon State University. It's a cross
okay, so she was right then.
Yeah, cross between the Shahalem and Olali varieties.
Those sound like brands of weed because we see signs for weed everywhere around here, and they just have the wildest names.
I bet you do. I know what I'm getting for Christmas next year.
Well, I was in the grocery store, and they just sell CBD infused sparkling water as just a thing you could buy in the grocery store. One of them was called Day Tripper. This is a good brand.
That's a good brand.
It's just an objectively good name for a brand.
It also explains the behavior of the people at the hospital. Anyway,
that could be.
Clearly, they're high. Half of all blackberries produced in Oregon are the Marion Barry.
It makes sense. It's everywhere. Even like Marion Barry, like the weird preserves that you would put onto cheese next, and then they sell it next to the cheese section in a grocery store. Marion Barry spread next to the cheese. It's everywhere around here, which is fine. I'm into it. I had a Marion Barry infused beer and a Marion Barry infused hard cider so far.
So the reason when you first said that I was like a Marion Barry is because there's a Marion Barry over here on the East Coast too.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. Marion Barry was the mayor of the District of Columbia.
Okay, that's a human being, not a. I mean, I guess
that's correct. It's a human being, sort of.
Sort of.
So
I mean, it's a politician. So I guess
Marion Barry. He got caught smoking crack, so he went to jail.
Okay, that's
while mayor of
not
Washington, D.C. And
that's not where I saw the story going, John.
When he got out of jail, he ran again and won again.
Good for him. You know what? It shows that the system works. It can rehabilitate you.
Yes.
No,
yes. That's what it shows. Oh, by the way, he was smoking it with prostitutes.
Well, who else do you smoke crack with, though? Like, that part just makes sense, John.
He actually ran and did a third term as the mayor of Washington, D.C.
I have smoked fewer than 5 servings of crack in my life.
Is that all? Just fewer than 5?
Mm-hmm. 0 is fewer than 5. It is technically a correct statement.
Yeah.
It's dumb, but it's technically correct, which is my favorite.
I've smoked less than a kilo of marijuana in my life.
Okay, that's a lot. Actually, that's not that much.
0 is less than a kilo.
Fewer.
It's not true, but
fewer.
Yeah, fewer. I know, fewer. Speaking of your friends,
go on.
I got a text from one of your friends.
Let me tell you,
your buds.
My morning has been a series of unfortunate events, mostly.
and the text said, "Could you please inform that lunkhead Dave what ska is?"
Mm-hmm. And then you called me a maroon. I know. I
did. I called you a maroon. I'm a maroon.
So I get up this morning. I barely slept last night through a series of unfortunate events. And so I get up this morning to a series of texts going back and forth in one of the group chats I'm in with friends. And one of them said his boss had never heard of ska. Now, he works in a pharmacy. And in my sleep-deprived brain, I was trying to figure out what a ska was in a pharmacy. Was it like a SKU that you scan on a med? What was it, a type of med? And then I was like, his boss is an idiot. Like, she has a doctorate in pharmacology. Like, she should know what a ska is. So I responded that. And then very shortly after I responded that, my brain went, hey, idiot. They're talking about the
You're the one.
So I agree. I am the maroon. I absolutely know what ska is, just not in the pharmaceutical setting.
Correct. And like as soon as I text that back, I'm like, yes, he
We've
does. I've
joked
talked to him
about
about
it.
ska before.
Yeah, I like
He
me some
knows
Five
what
Iron
ska
Frenzy.
is.
Their new album's dope, actually. I said if you want to hear truly bad ska, you go back in time to the W's.
That's not bad ska. I disagree.
Come on. The Devil is bad. It made it into a Veggie Tales episode.
It's not bad ska.
It's not good ska.
Typical ska is what it is. Typical.
Oh, I like ska. Little Zuzu Riot in my life, I'm in.
Okay. Well, there you go.
So we're not converting to an all ska channel.
I don't see that happening anytime soon. No, it wouldn't be bad to throw up a nice ska tune every now and again, like Real Big Fish.
I do like a couple of Real Big Fish. They have one called Beer, I think. Something Beer that I'm a fan of.
One of their bigger known hits is called Sellout. Are you familiar with that song?
Sellout. Yeah. I did notice if I have my hand on the table and I move the whole... It's like when the ship gets hit in Star Trek. The torpedoes are coming.
Yeah. Right.
Ooh, I'm in a mood today, John.
Right.
You want to get us somewhat on track here? Do we have a track? Are we on track?
If I have, well, let's. I think there's a track we're gonna. We left a lot on the table when December came. There's tons of what I call the red letter discussions that happens between us and our subscribers.
Sure.
It's in red ink here on red fake.
It's because
televised thing. I don't know.
All of our Jesuses said it. Just so many Jesuses.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
interesting way to say it.
So we have a lot of old ones, and we can decide how much we want to go into things. The reactions to some of the songs we did, which I think is still interesting and still has its place. And we still have some insults that are left on the table there. Although Blue Jazz has not returned, I sent him a little personal note. Hopefully he sees that as a reply to one of his messages, and he comes back soon.
Missing out on some good insults.
Yeah. So no one's insulting you at the moment for the most part. I did get an insult, but it turned out to not be an insult.
Aw.
Because they said to you, Dave, would you get rid of that blue thing? It's irritating. And I was the blue thing.
Nice.
But when I said, what about me? Wait a minute. Hold on. And he's like, no, I meant to be talking to you. And he was implying get rid of the blue color, that it was distracting and annoying, the blue color.
It's not how I choose to take it.
In fact, there it is. You have it up on the screen right there, the blue me right there.
Do I? Oh, I could show it. Oh, yeah, here you go. There's John in blue. John is a Smurf.
Yes. So I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, you talking about me? You want Dave to drop me? Where have I heard that before? So
nothing can get done on this channel. I'll warn you.
We should do trivia, don't you think?
I'm in. My dog is obsessed with something outside.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a good one for you, and
the other day I was wearing this outfit. It's a matching Green Bay Packers hat and hoodie. And someone stopped me to talk about the Packers. And normally I'm pretty good about, BSing my way through these conversations, knowing almost nothing. Like I can name Aaron Rodgers and that is all. And they started talking about deep cut players, and probably not deep cut, probably just normal players on the team. But I never actually watched football. And man, I came off like a real idiot. It was
you did.
Yeah, normally I'm good at schmoozing my way through it, but it was very clear from that conversation I did not know anything that was going on. So I hope this trivia question paints me in a better light.
You can't fake it till you make it all the time, Dave. Sometimes you just gotta know. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. You're in Oregon.
I am in Oregon.
Although this may not have anything to do with Oregon, I'm not sure. What Portland ad agency known for Nike, Honda, and Old Spice campaigns was featured in an episode of Portlandia?
Oh, can I have a multiple choice?
Nope.
Well then. Man, I've probably seen a dozen episodes of Portlandia. My aunt lived in Portland for many, many, many years. My wife and I stayed with them for a few days. Actually, right, the 2016 election, we were bar hopping when Trump got elected and then got out right before the riot started the next day. The protest started the next day and shut down the interstates. But I don't even have a guess at that, man. Nope.
Okay.
Nope,
Well,
I
it's
got nothing.
Whedon and Kennedy. Yeah.
Nope. Got nothing. Sorry.
All right, let's try another one.
That's what I get for not getting up to Portland, I guess.
What organization focused on helping people with disabilities features a lily on its logo?
Ooh. Ooh, a lily. All right. The Autism Speaks is a puzzle piece. So it's not that. A lily. Is that the multiple sclerosis one? I feel like they have a flower on theirs. I don't know. I don't think it's the kidney one. Oh, I don't remember. This sounds so familiar. Like I know I've seen. Is it the Special Olympics?
It is not the Special Olympics.
No, I give up. I admit defeat.
It is Easter seals.
Oh, it is Easter seals. Oh, I did a fundraiser for the Easter seals one time that was a polar bear plunge.
Yeah.
I knew I'd seen that logo. That was many years ago when I was younger and willing to do polar bear plunges.
The polar bear plunge happens the Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, does it?
When they do it, yeah.
I
Around
hear
here.
that is the statistically best weekend to go to Disney World.
Oh, cool. I'll have to bear that in mind.
This is what I've been told. As someone who doesn't care if I watch football or go to Disney World, but my wife wants
And
to go to Disney World.
side note, what was Easter seals called before it became known as Easter seals?
They were actually called the Hanukkah seals.
No. They were called I like how you pretended like you knew. They were called the National Society for Crippled Children.
That does sound worse somehow. Like there's nothing actually wrong with that name, but it
Right.
does make me feel bad.
Right.
All
And
right.
they're one of the better fundraising efforts. It says here 90% of the funds actually go directly out to help people who are disabled in some fashion.
That's solid. I know that like the breast cancer awareness, the pink ribbon breast cancer awareness one specifically, they spend so much of their money trying to just make other people not print pink ribbons and suing people, and they're apparently not that good of an organization. Nor is Autism Speaks, according to a lot of autistic people. But either way, good for them. I know that some organizations cook their books a bit in that if you donate directly knowingly to like a fundraising campaign or something like that, then they don't count it as income and therefore don't have to count it in the total amount that they do the math saying how much goes out to various things. But I do not know if Easter Seals is one of those organizations. So take that as you will. It is interesting to dig into the finances of some nonprofit organizations. That is what I'll say.
Yep.
All right, do we have the point of this video is we're 18 minutes in?
No, there's no point.
So
All right, well,
we
here's
comments.
Mark a long time ago asked you to come up with your top 5 books. I don't know if you've ever had the chance to sit down and do that, but that's just a little nudge, a little reminder.
That is a great reminder. And actually, I did come up with it. I wish that I had been told before this because it's on my other laptop, which is sitting beneath this laptop closed.
All right, we'll hold that till another discussion.
Yeah, remind me in advance before the next video, and I will pull it out. I did actually come up with that list.
This fellow named Roger Taylor, wanted to know what year and month you were born, and he was also interested in your social security number and where your mother was born. I think he's just
Interesting.
trying to skunk you for your passwords to things.
No one would ever do that. My social security number is 555 5555. Yeah.
R.
Fun fact, I don't know where my mom's born. That's not a question on any of my security questions. In your face.
We also haven't heard since our return. We haven't heard from Extra Etheth.
I did like that as a username.
Did like that name, but going back to when they were still responding to us and stuff, it says here from that person, Dave needs to be my both say about surviving under the grid, 100% scot-free. I thought sanctuary in a shopping center, sleeping in the center of a display rack. It lasted for 60 days before they discovered my roots. Fuckers. It's how I met my fiance. We're moving into a Barnes Club next week in a Sam's Club. Sam's Club next week. So exciting.
You know, I can't help but think that your fiance, extra S's, is one of the mannequins that was in the display you slept in. That is my headcanon, and I don't care what else you say. That is the truth to me.
Okay. Blue Jazz, one of his, was Destiny dressed you this morning, chum, and now fear's trying to pull off your itchy woolen breeches. If you give up, if you give in, then you're going to end up naked with fear just standing there laughing at your dangling unmentionables.
Oh, that's adorable. He thinks it's big enough to dangle?
Right. Isn't that sweet? I love when I get compliments like that. So
100% cotton, actually.
All the way back to Alien Shores. Now, you may remember that's the one where I broke Rush bro code, and I departed from the Rush faithful and said I hated that song.
That's
but
right.
Toward the end, I warmed up to it a little bit and gave it some kudos. To which Rick says, to each his own. Heck, people think I'm nuts when I say Led Zeppelin is overrated. So if you don't dig the song, it's not a big deal and shouldn't be. Like that.
Yeah,
good
I'll insult you and make fun of you, but that's because we're friends, and I would do that about most anything.
Right.
At the end of the day, however, it's all subjective, and you like what you like.
It certainly is. Trump RDR2 also hasn't returned. I think John may have been abducted and replaced by a robot. Extra S has said, me golden idol is tarnished. Go pick up a rope, John.
That's in reference to you hating the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, you know what? Everything's changed since YouTube changed the way we see people's names. Like, we only see that @ name. In the comments section of our, version of it, unless I go to the video itself and then I see whatever handle is. But okay, so whoever Edelgyre is, Johnny Boy, not sure what's up here, but wow, this is one of Rush's greatest songs, period. I'm having a hard time understanding this one, buddy. So it was definitely mixed, where some people were like, hey, you can have your opinion. Some people agree with me. It wasn't one of Rush's best songs, but a lot of people said, what's wrong with you? What's happening? So anyway.
I mean, I'll never forget the one time I dared say that I didn't care for Elvis, so.
Oh my gosh, those people are evil.
I stand by it. I still don't love Elvis. I think it's fine.
So back when we did Turn of the Century by Yes, that was a sweet song. Mark Johnson said, this song for me seems like one of their most complex melodically. The chordal arrangements seem to shift and evolve throughout, although the main themes are built upon the first guitar phrases. Always seems to shift into new variations. So yeah, people like you actually spoke highly of the song and the arrangement. Yeah. So cool stuff. And this guy says he's a musician, and to him it seems complicated.
They all seem complicated to me because I'm not a musician. So like to me, it is I could never do this. And I put this in the same realm as I sort of judge art, which once again, it's judging another subjective form of entertainment, if you will. If I know that I can't do it without hundreds and hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of practice, then I tend to immediately think it's better than if I glance at it and go, I could do that after one trip to Michael's this afternoon. So,
have you ever done paint night, Dave? You ever done a paint night?
I have done a paint night, actually. And my painting was terrible looking. I'm not a good painter or drawer in any way, shape, or form. And that's why I judged it that way. So I'll never forget, I went to the Philly Art Museum one time, where the statue of Rocky is now down the steps and not at the top of the steps anymore.
Really?
Yeah, they took. This has been years ago. This is not a new transition. They took him off the top of the steps, and he still exists
Oh,
there.
I
but
remember. Yeah, he's like got
off
a
to the side.
semicircle of bricks around him down at the bottom there. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But they had a Frida Kahlo exhibit, which I enjoy Frida Kahlo. I think she's Frida Kahlo. I think it's pronounced. I could be wrong on pronunciation, but I think she has a very interesting style, and I appreciate that she broke the norm in painting herself for realsies. Like so if you're painting yourself, right, you can sort of put whatever filter you want on it. Even back in the day, you could put whatever filter you wanted on yourself and make yourself look however, and yet she just stuck with that unibrow and a bit of a mustache, and she went with it. I just appreciate that. But at that same thing, they also had a modern art exhibit, and it was some guy, and I don't remember his name, and his whole thing was targets, and he just drew a bunch of targets like you would shoot an arrow at, and I just stared at it, and I was like, a pencil and a string and a couple colors of paint, and I could do that this afternoon after one trip to an art store. Like, and if I look at something and I go, I could just do that exactly as well as you did this afternoon with a couple bucks in supplies, I'm always told one of two things. One, well, yeah, but you didn't. Fair. I didn't. I'm upset that I didn't, because apparently you can make a lot of money drawing circles and then painting them in. But second, I don't care about that. I think it's dumb. And I'm fine with that. Other people like it, and that's fine. Then it's for them. I guess it means something to them. And I have no problem with that, but that just means it's not for me. And so when it comes to music, oftentimes I will listen to something, but it doesn't matter how badly it's done. I could never do it, period. So it's all sort of complex to me. And that is a very long story to say, I agree with your comment.
Cool. So speaking of complex and complexities in music, let's compare some things here. Whipping Post. Remember way back we did Whipping Post by the Allman Brothers Band.
Yes.
And then later we did Dreams, which was a blues tune in 3/4 timing.
Yes.
Right? Well, back in Whipping Post, Updog's 1990 said 11/4 is the time signature on the intro, then a hard shift to 6/4, then another shift to 5/3, and then 7/8 on the respective choruses. Very complex usage of backswing and cross-rhythmic drum theory.
I thought backswing was a thing in golf. Another thing that I'm terrible at and couldn't play.
No. But,
Boy.
I mean, all I'm saying is that there's a lot of complexity in music that even I don't catch the details of quite like that. But I'm not a drummer, so, I'm not trained to do that. All I do is I go, that's cool.
But just like a drummer, I could deliver pizza.
Yeah, fair enough.
But then I couldn't go drum anything. So, it's not the same.
Similarly, another drummer jumped in on Changes by Yes, which was one of their 80s songs, and says it starts with 7/8, then 10/8, and then it goes to 4/4 in the verses.
I don't even fully understand how do you even count out 10/8? How do you count that as a beat? What is 10/8?
I'd have to open up a YouTube video where someone shows us how to count out 10/8, because I don't know how to count out 10/8.
No, I don't even understand that as a concept. 10/8 is more than one.
Which means, I guess, that there are some doubles. There might be some doubles in there or two. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I just know it sounds awesome.
10/8 is 1 1/5, and I'm trying to figure desperately out how you'd count that out as anything. I don't know. I don't get it.
Don't know. Let's see if there's anything significant here. New World Man. The repeating 8-note pattern at the beginning of the song was probably driven by an analog sequencer, like on Sequential Circuits Pro 1. The buzzy drone was probably triggered by a Moog 1130 drum accessory. These are just guesses. So, we must have talked a little bit about some of the noises and sounds happening in New World Man.
Yeah, and you've talked before about how some of those sounds are triggered by Peart when he hits certain drums. And I actually did a little bit of research on this, and It's because originally I was confused by that because I thought, I don't know, is something hooked to a regular drum and you just hit it? No, it's just electric drums, and he has some of them that do certain noises, and so he can just reach over and hit that one. For some reason in my brain, it was like his normal snare. If you hit it in a certain way, it triggers a noise, and that's not how it works at all.
No, it's like a pad. Looks like a rubber pad with sections on it, and they just tap the right section. And of course, it's programmable with pages, so they can, it probably has thousands of potential triggers in it.
Which is way smarter than the way I thought to do it, as usual.
When we did Light Up, Rush Fan 1974 suggested that your hair in that video was giving him Lollipop Guild vibes.
Well, I do represent them. I represent the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah. To some of our more recent songs, Take the Long Way Home, we just recently did. This is an after we're back, so this is some more current stuff. Dr. DJL, who I had to actually click on his @ symbol to see who it was, and I wrote it down. This is Dr. DJL. We've had his comments on before. He says, English is a funny language, a less morbid but similar case of situational past tense variation. This guy's smart, huh? Is for the word fly. In most cases, the past tense is flew, except in baseball, where you would never say a batter flew out. He flied out.
Oh, yeah. You're right. If someone said to me the batter flew out, I would know that was wrong, but couldn't explain why. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I caught a flu ball.
Right.
I hit a flu ball? Yeah. Even though it happened in the past, you can't talk about the player that the Barry Bonds hit a flu ball. That is weird. That is a strange quirk.
And again, I love that. Listen, those 4 words together, situational past tense variation.
It makes sense if you think about it. Yeah.
I want to name my trivia team that.
Situational past tense present. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
All right. Now, here's good news for you. When we did Subdivision, you introduced everyone to your bitchin' new sweater.
Oh, that's right. That was my ironically baseball sweater. My my Toronto Blue Jays sweater. So it says here,
Debbie Plato responds, all of the guys in Rush grew up in the suburbs, and none of them liked it. This song is about the social structure and parental expectations. Those who thought outside the box were considered outcasts. As for picking the Blue Jays, Dave, you couldn't have picked a better team. Ooh. Geddy Lee is a huge baseball fan, and the Blue Jays are his favorite team. Oh, and here's some other things. I'm not going to read all of them, but he has season tickets. They're right behind home plate, so whenever they're throwing the batter, Geddy's behind there. And when COVID prevented people being in the stands, they put a cutout of Geddy Lee behind the batter.
That's awesome.
So I'm sure you could Google pictures of that out there. As far as the backs of cars part of subdivisions, Rob Chahowski, a nice German boy, said that there are people are subdivided into those who will do something and those who won't. Be cool or be cast out. See the video for this, and I had forgotten. I hadn't seen a video in decades. The video for Subdivision shows like one kid in the back of a car willing to be the goofball and do the stupid stuff that the others, and one being less willing. And I guess the less willing one gets kicked out of the car.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at some point you're not a part of the community if you're not willing to partake in the shenanigans of said community.
Right. And it says Neil was considered odd in high school. He wore long hair when most wore it short, and occasionally wore a cape and purple shoes to school.
I'm pro cape. You know that.
I know you're big on the cape part. So that's basically all I have taken down for now, except for some leftover insults. Dave's so dumb he had to Google the spelling for FBI. I'm sure Neelix is comfortable as the best equipped alpha in that pack.
Yeah, you know what? Normally I would just go with it, but I gotta say, I named him Neelix because it was gonna be a Star Trek name, either Neelix or Worf. But my dog is such a giant pansy in every single way that we went Neelix and not the Klingon warrior Worf. So it's one of the few times I'll be like, my dog's a giant pansy. His view is I barked and growled, and then I will hide behind you while you take care of it. I've let you know
I've done my part
Yeah,
here.
I'm a warning signal and nothing more.
He's like the worst tag team partner.
Exactly.
He
He'll
gets
yell at
somebody
you from the
riled up.
ring. Yeah, he'll yell at you from the side ring, but that's it. I'm not going in the ring.
All right, go take him. So here's a recipe for Dave roast. 20 pounds of water softener salt pellets, 8 pounds of wild carrots unwashed, 5 pounds of
Just like
rotten
me.
commie potatoes, 64 ounces of beet juice, 32 ounces of state brand vodka, infinite
State
sadness, and well-marbled Dave. Combine all ingredients in cardboard refrigerator box and leave outside, preferably downwind. That's it. It serves nobody.
I would serve a just cacophony of flies by the time that this started to really ferment. The buzzing would be so loud. It'd be beautiful.
And yeah,
You know, my favorite part about that is that it showed that they actually listened, because I've referred to myself as well marbled multiple times. So I really do appreciate that little extra bit in there.
Yep.
I'm well marbled with
You
a
are.
little sweet Marion Barry action now.
yeah. Boy, I bet you that just does it. That just makes you unresistible.
Marion Barry sauce on top, baby. Yeah.
Back from when we did the stroke and your suggestion we stop pawing ourselves long enough to pay attention.
I think we both made a number of ill-conceived references in that one.
Perhaps. Yeah. If they could only harness that kinetic energy, nuclear power would look like the dying ember on a cigarette butt. Talk about a renewable resource. Dave could run all of Canada single-handed.
That is a good one. That is excellently done. That's a very funny insult.
They're good ones. If Dave were an ice cream flavor, he'd be carrot anchovy swirl.
Oh. I've had carrot cake ice cream, and that's actually very good, but I feel like the anchovies kill it there. That was good. It's solid. Or mildly creamy if done right.
I get an insult here. One, right? That's what they call me. One.
Mm-hmm.
Have you removed your stick self from the mud yet? All prog and no metal makes John a medieval butt munch.
Oh, are we going to do metal? Is that going to be a thing? I think I introduced you to some joke metal.
Well, I've been listening to Kiss and hard rock,
Is Kiss
Deep
metal?
Purple.
Does that count as metal?
I think in the day it did. And I just don't like 80s hair metal. That's my thing. I don't like 80s hair metal. You could say Dream Theater is pretty metallic. You could say
I would
Metallica is
not.
pretty metallic.
I would think Metallica is way more than, well, what I've heard of Dream Theater. I think I've heard 3 total songs of Dream Theater. So
Well, yeah, they're prog metal. They're good, but I just don't like 80s, metal, and that's what Blue Jazz's issue with me is that I don't like 80s. Yeah.
well, maybe we'll have to throw the occasional 80s metal in there. If you got a good 80s metal song you want us to listen to, throw it in the comments. I'll make John suffer through it. I like most things. Like, I think, as you can tell from this channel if you've watched, I just generally enjoy most things. I have my limits. There are things I don't like, for sure. But in general, I like most things. So I can get down with some metal every now and then. I'll throw on some Rammstein, some... I'm blanking on the other one. He dresses up in a lot of makeup, and he did a concert that's actually very good, and it's with a full orchestra, and it was in, I want to say, Moscow. It was an excellent concert. But it's a heavy metal band, and they look like the aliens from Stargate Atlantis that are the main bad guys in Stargate Atlantis. So there's a real deep cut for, I don't know, the one of you who gets that reference. Man, if someone comes up with the band that I'm talking about, I'm going to be really happy. It's not Guar.
Oh, somebody will come up with it. There's no doubt about it. Michael York wants to know if you've ever read the Lord of the Rings trilogy and or the Silmarillion.
Yes, I have. Yeah. I will say that as much as, yes, I've read the Silmarillion, it was many, many years ago, and that is a dense book full of so many names. I won't for a second say that I know it well. Lord of the Rings, I've read all those books twice, and then I've seen the movies. I don't even know how many times. Although obviously there is some variation from the books on there. But yes, and The Hobbit. I read The Hobbit for the first time when I was like the year I turned 12, I think, is when I read The Hobbit. And I've actually reread The Hobbit as an adult, as well as the Lord of the Rings series. And as much as it's a kid's book, it's just a good book. Like, it's just a fun story. Well, thank you for watching. If you have any questions in general about life or song suggestions, any of that, feel free to put them in the comments. And other than that, it's nice to be back. And we'll do, obviously, some more videos before I leave here. But in 2 weeks, my background will change again, and I'll be somewhere else. Life, she's interesting, John. Very interesting.
And now for something completely different.
There you go. I think that's about enough for today, given the length of our current video.
You think 40 minutes is long enough to listening to us
40
ramble predominantly about
minutes is
nonsense?
Plenty of time. And we didn't even get into your dog's, like, moisture problem.
Oh, yeah. I taught John some fun facts about the anatomy of dogs today, and he wasn't a fan of the new information he learned. They have anal glands, and they don't always work. There's a reason Dave didn't sleep well last night, and it's not my dog's fault. It's not.
Yeah, right.
He's not a bad boy. You can't help what happens when you're sleeping.
He's such a good boy.